Hello, amazing English learners. Welcome back to Unlock B2 English, the podcast that helps you elevate your language skills one episode at a time. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Mark. Today we're diving into a topic that will significantly improve the cohesion and sophistication of your English, logical connectors. We're going beyond and, but, and so to truly elevate your discourse.
Exactly, Mark. For B2 learners, mastering these words is key to sounding more natural, more educated, and more precise. They help you express nuance in your arguments and make your ideas flow seamlessly.
Before we dive into the main discussion, let's do our quick pre-listen preview to set you up for success. Today, we'll explore different types of logical connectors, those crucial words and phrases that link your ideas and sentences. We'll show you how to use them to add information, show contrast, express cause and effect, and conclude your thoughts.
Key vocabulary for today includes logical connectors. Words like however, therefore, in addition, consequently. They act as bridges between your ideas. Elevate your discourse to make your speech or writing sound more sophisticated and advanced. Nuance, a subtle difference in meaning. For example, the difference between however and nevertheless. Cohesion, how well your ideas stick together and flow smoothly.
So, get ready to expand your linguistic toolkit.
And before we continue, think about this. When you speak or write in English, do you often find yourself using simple connecting words like and, but, or so repeatedly? What impact do you think this has on how advanced your English sounds? Keep that question in mind as we talk.
So, Sarah, many B2 learners are great at forming sentences, but their overall communication can sometimes feel a bit choppy or repetitive because they rely on a limited set of connectors. Why is it so important to expand this vocabulary?
That's a fantastic point, Mark. It's about cohesion and flow. Imagine reading a book where every sentence starts a new idea abruptly. It would be very difficult to follow. Logical connectors provide the glue that holds your thoughts together. They signal to your listener or reader the relationship between different parts of your message. Are you adding information? Are you contradicting something? Are you providing a reason? These words clarify your intentions.
And this is particularly true for B2 learners, who are often trying to express more complex ideas. Simple connectors just aren't enough to convey that nuance.
Absolutely. Let's break down some categories, shall we?
Sounds great.
First, let's talk about adding information. Instead of always saying and, you can use moreover. This is more formal than and suggests something additional and important. The company is expanding into new markets. Moreover, they are investing heavily in research and development.
Furthermore, similar to moreover, it introduces an additional point that reinforces the previous one. Learning a new language opens up career opportunities. Furthermore, it broadens your cultural understanding.
In addition, this is a versatile phrase for adding extra information. The new policy will reduce costs. In addition, it will improve efficiency.
Those are excellent alternatives. They definitely elevate your discourse instantly. Now, what about showing contrast, Sarah, beyond just but?
Great question. For contrast, we have however. This is one of the most common and useful. It introduces a statement that contrasts with something previously mentioned. The weather was terrible. However, we still had a fantastic time.
Nevertheless or nonetheless are stronger than however and indicate that despite something, something else is true. He was extremely tired. Nevertheless, he continued working until midnight.
On the other hand, useful when comparing two different aspects or points of view. Some people prefer living in the city. On the other hand, others enjoy the peace of the countryside.
These are fantastic for debates or discussions where you're presenting multiple perspectives. Next, how about cause and effect? Many learners just stick to so.
Indeed. To show cause and effect, try these. Therefore means for that reason or as a result. She studied diligently. Therefore, she passed the exam with flying colors.
Consequently indicates a result or consequence of something. The company's profits decreased last quarter. Consequently, they had to lay off some employees.
Hence, more formal means for this reason or as a result. The report was poorly written, hence it failed to convince the board.
These are crucial for academic writing and formal presentations. They make your arguments much more logical and structured.
Absolutely. And finally, let's touch on concluding or summarizing. In conclusion, or to summarize, are standard phrases for wrapping up your thoughts. All in all is a slightly more informal way to mean considering everything. The trip was long and challenging, but all in all, it was a memorable experience.
Wonderful examples, Sarah. The key here is not just memorizing them, but understanding their subtle differences and when to use each one to achieve the desired effect.
Precisely. And this is where our active learning approach comes in. When you hear us use these in future episodes, consciously notice them. Try to incorporate them into your own speaking and writing.
Okay, let's quickly recap what we've discussed today.
We've explored how using a wider range of logical connectors, words like moreover, furthermore, however, therefore, and consequently, can significantly elevate your discourse in English.
Remember, these connectors are essential for creating cohesion in your speech and writing, helping your ideas flow smoothly and making your communication sound more natural and sophisticated. They allow you to express nuance that simple connectors cannot.
And don't forget, actively incorporating these into your own language production is how you'll truly master them.
Now, for your weekly challenge.
Think about a recent conversation or a short piece of writing you produced in English. Identify places where you used and, but, or so. Can you rewrite those sentences or rephrase your ideas using 2 or 3 of the new logical connectors we discussed today? Example, moreover, however, consequently.
This challenge is about actively applying what you've learned. The more you practice, the more naturally these connectors will become part of your active vocabulary.
That's it for episode 23 of Unlock B2 English. We hope this episode helps you add more sophistication and clarity to your English.
Remember to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform and share it with anyone who wants to elevate their B2 English.
Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back in a few days with our next episode, Media and Entertainment, how to talk about films, books, and music.
Don't miss it. See you then.